The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning. At first, the radio astronomers at the Deep Space Listening Post thought it was another routine space noise. But this signal was different. It repeated in perfect patterns, carrying information that would change Earth forever. "We come in peace," the message said in over 50 Earth languages. "We are the coalition of advanced species, and we wish to meet." In the following days, the world's governments scrambled to respond. News channels played the message on repeat, and people everywhere looked up at the stars with new eyes. After centuries of wondering if we were alone in the universe, humanity had its answer. Ambassador James Miller stood in front of the mirror, adjusting his tie for the 10th time. As Earth's chosen representative, he carried the hopes and fears of billions on his shoulders. The United Earth Council had picked him for his calm nature and sharp mind. Today, he would become the first human to meet aliens face to face. The meeting point was a newly built space station, positioned in neutral territory near Mars. As Miller's shuttle approached, he saw the alien ships for the first time. They gleamed like jewels against the black of space, their designs unlike anything humans had ever created. "Remember," Miller muttered to himself, "just stay calm and be honest." The station's docking bay was massive, clearly built to accommodate ships much larger than the human shuttle. As Miller and his small team stepped out, they found themselves facing 5 different alien species. Each looked more fantastic than the last. Some tall and slender, others short and sturdy, their skin colors ranging from deep blue to metallic gold. The lead alien, who introduced himself as High Speaker, stepped forward. His translator device hummed softly as he spoke. "Welcome, humans of Earth. We have watched your progress for some time." Miller noticed the slight tone of superiority in the High Speaker's voice. It reminded him of how adults sometimes talk to clever children. Still, he smiled and bowed slightly. "We are honored to join the galactic community," he said. The meeting went well on the surface. The coalition explained the basic rules of galactic society, offered trade agreements, and promised to help humanity advance. But Miller caught the whispered comments, the small gestures between the alien delegates when they thought humans weren't watching. "Such primitive ships," one delegate whispered to another. "They still use chemical rockets," another added with what sounded like a laugh. "At least they're cute," a third said. "Like pets learning new tricks." Miller pretended not to hear. Instead, he focused on the official agreements. The coalition offered humanity membership as a developing species, with certain restrictions on space travel and technology sharing. It wasn't ideal, but it was a start. Back on Earth, the celebrations lasted for days. People dreamed of alien technology, space travel, and a bright future among the stars. But in a secure room deep beneath Washington, Miller met with the Earth Defense Council. "They think we're harmless," Miller reported, his earlier diplomatic smile gone. "They don't know about the quantum drive projects, or the gravity manipulation research, or the antimatter weapons." General Anna Torres nodded. "Good. Let them think that. We've learned from our own history what happens when technologically advanced civilizations underestimate others. Should we reveal our true capabilities?" Director Mark Reed asked, reviewing the classified files of Earth's secret space fleet. "No," Miller said firmly. "We'll play along. We'll be their cute primitives for now. But we'll keep developing our technologies in secret. If they ever try to bully us or treat us unfairly." He left the sentence unfinished. The meeting ended with a decision. Humanity would join the coalition, but they would stay alert and prepared. They would smile and nod at the condescending remarks, all while building their strength in the shadows. As Miller looked out his office window at the night sky, he couldn't help but wonder if the coalition's dismissive attitude would one day come back to haunt them. After all, humanity had learned long ago that appearances could be deceiving, and underestimating others was a dangerous mistake. 3 years had passed since first contact. The Mars colony had grown from a small research base into a thriving settlement of 10,000 people. Its gleaming domes sparkled under the red sun, a testament to human determination. The colonists had even started growing crops in the specially designed greenhouses, making Mars their true second home. That peaceful morning, Bob Wilson was tending to the tomato plants in Greenhouse 6 when the alarm started blaring. At first, he thought it was another dust storm warning. It wasn't. Through the dome's clear panels, he saw them. 3 sleek ships with black hulls, moving fast and low across the Martian sky. They weren't coalition vessels. They weren't human either. As Bob watched in horror, the first explosion rocked the colony's main dome. Dark Star pirates, the emergency broadcast announced. All colonists proceed to emergency shelters immediately. The attack lasted less than an hour. The pirates, known throughout the galaxy as the Dark Star Collective, broke through the colony's basic defenses easily. They stole vital supplies, destroyed 2 water recycling plants, and damaged the main oxygen generators. 15 colonists died in the attack. Admiral Beth Stone received the distress call while her ship was patrolling near Earth. By the time her fleet arrived at Mars, the pirates were long gone. She stood in the colony's damaged control room, her fists clenched as she listened to Bob Wilson's account of the attack. "We call the Coalition patrol ship for help," Bob said, his voice shaking with anger. They were only 10 minutes away, but they said they needed proper authorization to intervene. 10 minutes. They could have saved lives. Admiral Stone's face remained calm, but her eyes burned with fury. She opened a channel to the nearest Coalition base. The alien commander who appeared on screen looked annoyed at the interruption. "Ah, the humans," he said. "We received your complaint about the minor border incident." "Minor?" Stone's voice was quiet but sharp. 15 people are dead. Our colony is damaged. These weren't random pirates. They were the Dark Star Collective. They're known criminals in Coalition space. The alien commander waved one of his 4 hands dismissively. "File a proper complaint through diplomatic channels. We'll review it within the standard processing period of 3 to 6 months. After the call ended, Stone turned to her communication officer. "Send a message to Earth Defense Command. Mark it Priority 1. In the secure bunker beneath Washington, the Earth Defense Council gathered again. Ambassador Miller, looking tired and angry, presented the situation. "The Coalition isn't taking this seriously," he said. "They view Mars as a primitive outpost on the edge of nowhere. To them, this is like raiders attacking a small farm. Unfortunate, but not worth their time." General Torres studied the holographic map showing the pirate ship's escape route. "Our hidden fleet could have caught them," she said, "if we weren't pretending to be defenseless." "Not yet," Director Reed interrupted. "We need more information. Our spies report the pirates are planning something bigger. They think we're easy targets now." Admiral Stone's hologram appeared in the center of the room. "The Coalition's patrol ship captain actually laughed when I mentioned our defensive capabilities. They think our weapons are toys." The council members looked at each other. The room felt heavy with unspoken thoughts. Finally, Miller spoke what everyone was thinking. "We gave them a chance to help. We followed their rules. We asked nicely." He looked around the room. "Perhaps it's time they learned why Earth spent so much of its history preparing for war." "Not yet," General Torres said. "Let's wait. If they try something bigger." She didn't need to finish the sentence. Everyone understood. As the meeting ended, Admiral Stone stared at the Mars colony's damage reports. In her mind, she was already planning. The pirates thought humans were weak. The Coalition thought humans were primitive. Both would learn their mistake, but not yet. For now, humanity would wait, watch, and prepare. The next attack would be different. Very different indeed. The Europa colony was humanity's pride and joy. Built beneath the icy surface of Jupiter's moon, it housed over 50,000 people in its underwater cities. Massive fusion reactors powered the colony, melting channels through the ice and keeping the settlers warm in their deep-sea homes. Tom Wells, the colony's captain, stood at the main viewport, watching fish they had engineered for Europa's oceans swim past. The colony had just celebrated its second anniversary. They were even starting to export ice metals to Earth, proving that humans could not just survive but thrive in the outer solar system. The first warning came from the outer sensor grid. 5 ships, then 10, then 20 jumped into Europa's orbit. They were dark star vessels, but not the small raiders that had hit Mars. These were warships. Captain Wells hit the emergency broadcast. All civilians to shelter zones. This is not a drill. Security teams to battle stations. He opened a channel to the Coalition Defense Fleet stationed near Jupiter. This is Europa Colony requesting immediate assistance. We are under attack. The Coalition commander's face appeared on screen. Ah, the human settlement. We see the vessels, but our patrol fleet is conducting mandatory maintenance checks. We can dispatch help in approximately 7 hours. 7 hours. Wells shouted. They're attacking now. We have 50,000 civilians. Please follow proper emergency protocols, the commander said calmly. File your request through the appropriate. Wells cut the transmission. The battle was brutal and one-sided. Europa's defenses were built to handle small raids, not a full invasion fleet. The pirates targeted the colony's life support systems first, then the power plants. Emergency barriers activated as sections began to flood. In the chaos, many colonists showed incredible bravery. Engineers worked in freezing water to keep barriers intact. Security teams fought hand-to-hand against pirates who breached the inner halls. Parents created air pockets for children using their own emergency tanks. But courage wasn't enough. By the time Admiral Stone's ships arrived from Mars, the damage was devastating. 312 colonists dead, thousands injured. 2 entire sections of the colony flooded and frozen. Stone stood in Europa's emergency command center, listening to the survivor reports. The pirates had taken everything valuable and destroyed what they couldn't steal. They had worked slowly, methodically, knowing no help would come. The coalition ships just watched. One survivor said, her voice breaking. They were right there. We could see them on our scopes. They just watched. In Washington, the Earth Defense Council's meeting was different this time. No one sat. No one spoke calmly. The room crackled with contained rage. Ambassador Miller's hands shook as he read the casualty list. 312 people. Families. Children. He looked up. The coalition's official response. They sent a message expressing concern over the security situation in primitive settlement zones. Director Reed's intelligence report was equally grim. The pirates took their time because they knew about the coalition's maintenance check. They paid bribes to make sure no help would come. General Torres stepped to the main display. We're done waiting, she said. The coalition had their chance. Humanity asked nicely. Humanity followed their rules. Humanity begged for help. She pressed a button, revealing images of Earth's hidden fleet. Now they learn why ancestors feared making humans mad. Admiral Stone's hologram appeared. Europa was a mistake, she said quietly. Their mistake. The kind that gets made only once. She looked at each council member. My ships are ready. The crews are ready. We can launch within the hour. The council's vote was unanimous. Humanity had tried democracy. Humanity had tried diplomacy. Now, they would try something else. As the emergency lights pulsed through Earth's secret shipyards, thousands of crews ran to their stations. Engineers activated systems hidden for years. Weapons powered up. Ships that no one in the coalition knew existed prepared for launch. The time for asking nicely was over. Now, humanity would show the galaxy why making them mad was a very, very bad idea. Deep beneath the mountains of Earth, hidden doors slid open for the first time. In secret bases across the planet, ships that didn't officially exist powered up their engines. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Retribution, watching as her crew took their stations. Status report, she ordered. All ships reporting ready, Admiral. her second-in-command replied. "The Coalition still hasn't detected us. Their sensors are only watching our decoy fleet in orbit." Stone allowed herself a small smile. For years, humanity had shown the aliens only their weakest ships, keeping their real fleet hidden. Today, that would change. The first sign that something was different came when the Coalition's orbital monitoring station detected new energy signatures. The alien commander stared at his screens in confusion as hundreds of ships suddenly appeared from hidden bases on Earth, the Moon, and deep space stations. These weren't the simple chemical rockets the humans usually flew. These ships were sleek, dark, and powered by drives that shouldn't have been possible for primitive humans to build. Their hulls were made of materials that didn't show up on standard scans. They moved with a speed and grace that matched the best Coalition vessels. Ambassador Miller stood in the Coalition emergency meeting chamber on their central station. The alien representatives were shouting, demanding explanations. "What is the meaning of this?" the high speaker asked, his translator barely keeping up with his agitated tone. "These ships, this technology, you told us you were a developing species." Miller's voice was calm. "We are developing. We simply didn't show you everything we have developed." He looked around the room. "You called us primitive. You ignored our calls for help. You let pirates kill our people. Now you get to see what humans can really do." On the main display, they watched as Earth's true fleet moved into formation. Admiral Stone's voice came through on all frequencies, broadcasting in every known language. "This is Admiral Beth Stone of the Earth Defense Fleet. We have tracked the Dark Star Collective's fleet to their main base. We are going to eliminate them. Any ships that interfere will be considered hostile. This is not a request for permission. This is a courtesy notice." The Coalition commanders watched in shock as the human fleet demonstrated abilities they thought impossible. The ships used gravity manipulation to make turns that should have crushed their crews. Their weapons fired projectiles at speeds that broke known physics. Their shields absorbed hits that should have destroyed them. "How?" one alien scientist asked, studying the readings. "Their ships are using technology they shouldn't even understand." Director Reed, standing next to Miller, spoke up. "We understand a lot of things. We just don't show everything we know. On Earth, we learned that lesson from our own history." The human fleet moved like a single organism, displaying coordination that impressed even the most experienced Coalition commanders. They didn't waste time with warnings or negotiations. When they found the first pirate outpost, they simply erased it from existence. In his command center, the Dark Star leader watched the approach of the human fleet with growing fear. "These can't be the same humans we attacked," he said to his officers. "Their ships, their weapons, it's impossible." Admiral Stone's voice came through their speakers one last time. "You hurt our people. You killed our civilians. You thought we were weak. That was your mistake. Your last mistake." The battle that followed was brief but decisive. The pirates' shields, which could stop Coalition weapons, proved useless against human technology. Their ships, which could outrun Coalition patrols, couldn't escape the human vessels. Back in the Coalition chamber, the alien representatives watched in stunned silence. Humanity hadn't just hidden their true strength. They had surpassed many of the Coalition's own capabilities. "Perhaps," the High Speaker said quietly, "we should reconsider our assessment of Earth's status in the Coalition." Miller's response was simple. "Perhaps you should. And perhaps you should remember. This is only the beginning of what humanity can do when you make us mad." The Dark Star pirates had bases scattered across 12 star systems. They had hidden these bases for decades, safe from even the Coalition's best efforts. It took humanity 8 days to find them all. Admiral Stone's fleet moved with cold efficiency. They didn't make demands. They didn't offer chances to surrender. They simply appeared, struck, and moved on to the next target. The Coalition observation ships following them started calling them the Vengeful. In a hidden base deep inside an asteroid belt, a group of pirate leaders held an emergency meeting. Their main base was gone. Half their fleet was destroyed. Their best hiding places had been discovered. How are they finding us? One leader demanded, pounding his fist on the table. We've hidden here for 20 years. His answer came in the form of alarms blaring through the base. On their screens, they watched 3 human ships appear from nowhere, their dark hulls seeming to drink in the starlight. Impossible, the pirate leader whispered. Our sensors should have seen them coming. The human ships opened fire. The battle lasted less than 5 minutes. Back on the Coalition Central Station, alien military experts watched recordings of each battle with growing unease. The humans weren't just winning. They were revolutionizing warfare. Look at their tactics, one alien commander said, pointing at a display. They're using their own crews as bait, making turns that should kill any living being. But they survive. Another expert studied different readings. Their ships can hide from any scanner we have. They appear, strike, and vanish like ghosts. Ambassador Miller walked into their meeting room, making them jump. Nobody had heard him enter. Wondering how we do it, he asked calmly. Simple. We've spent our entire history preparing for wars we hoped would never come. When they did come, we were ready. The alien experts watched as he brought up new images on their screens. You thought our ships were primitive because that's what we showed you. But we've had gravity control for decades. We developed inertial dampeners that let our crews survive any maneuver. We built stealth systems that don't just hide from sensors. They bend light itself. In deep space, Admiral Stone's fleet continued their mission. They found a pirate supply depot hidden inside a gas giant's storms. They discovered a secret base buried under a desert moon's surface. Each time, the pirates tried new tactics. Each time, they failed. Admiral, her tactical officer reported, the pirates are attempting to scatter to neutral ports. They're begging coalition worlds for asylum. Stone's response was brief. Let them run. We'll find them. The coalition worlds were quickly learning a new side of humanity. The same species that had seemed so primitive, so peaceful, now moved through space like vengeful gods. Pirates who had terrorized space lanes for generations lasted mere hours against the human fleet. In his private chambers, the High Speaker of the Coalition watched the latest battle recordings. His aide entered with new reports. Sir, the aide said nervously, the humans, they're not just destroying pirate bases. They're gathering data, learning from each fight, getting stronger. The High Speaker nodded slowly. And what of the pirates' victims? The colonies they raided before. The humans are finding them too. But not to attack. They're returning stolen goods, helping rebuild damaged outposts, even healing the injured. That was what truly frightened the coalition leaders. Humanity wasn't just good at war. They remembered both their friends and enemies. They punished those who hurt them, but helped those who had suffered like they had. As Admiral Stone's fleet prepared to strike their next target, she received a message from Earth. New intelligence had revealed more pirate bases, hidden so well even the coalition never found them. Very well, she said to her crew. The hunt continues. Let them learn why humanity's warning was so simple. Don't make us mad. 1 month had passed since humanity revealed their true power. The Dark Star Collective, once the most feared pirate group in known space, now existed only in memory. But humanity wasn't finished. They had a message to deliver. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching as her fleet surrounded the last pirate stronghold. Unlike the others, this base wasn't hidden. It floated proudly in open space, a massive station that served as a neutral trading port for criminals from 100 worlds. They're broadcasting a surrender message, her communications officer reported. Interesting, Stone said. They didn't offer that choice to Europa Colony, did they? The station's shields were the strongest ever built by outlaw engineers. They had stopped coalition battleships before. The human fleet breached them in seconds. In the coalition central chamber, the alien representatives gathered to watch. They had learned to pay very close attention to human military actions. Observe, Ambassador Miller said, stepping forward. You're about to see why Earth spends so much time studying psychology and not just weapons. Instead of destroying the station, human ships locked onto it with strange beams. The station's artificial gravity shifted, its rotation changed. Within minutes, every deck was experiencing exactly one Earth gravity of pull. Standard human gravity, Miller explained. Comfortable for us. Quite uncomfortable for most of the species hiding there. Teams of human soldiers, wearing armor that seemed to bend light around them, moved through the station. They didn't kill. They didn't have to. Every pirate, smuggler, and criminal found themselves struggling to move in the increased gravity while the humans walked normally. A simple trick, Miller said to the watching aliens. But effective. We studied every species' physical limits. We knew exactly how much gravity would immobilize them without causing harm. The coalition experts were frantically taking notes. Humanity hadn't just created advanced weapons. They had thought of warfare in ways no other species had considered. They used science itself as a weapon. In her office on Earth, General Torres reviewed the reports. The human fleet had captured more criminal leaders in 1 month than the coalition had in 20 years. They had discovered smuggling routes that had operated in secret for generations. They had mapped criminal networks that spanned dozens of worlds. Send all of this to coalition intelligence, she ordered. Let them see what they missed while they were dismissing us as primitives. The station's capture revealed something else. Evidence that certain coalition officials had been helping the pirates in exchange for bribes. Admiral Stone personally delivered this information to the High Speaker. Your own people helped them attack our colonies, she said calmly. We trust you'll handle that appropriately. The High Speaker, now much more respectful of humans, quickly agreed. Director Reed's intelligence teams went through the station's databases. They found stolen treasures from 100 worlds, including artifacts some species had thought lost forever. Humanity began returning everything to its rightful owners. Why? One alien diplomat asked Miller. Why help other species recover their lost items? Miller smiled. Because that's what neighbors do. We can be terrible enemies, but we're excellent friends. The galaxy needs to understand both parts of that message. The coalition's military leaders gathered for an emergency session. They had finished analyzing all the human operations of the past month. The results were shocking. They didn't just defeat the pirates, one commander reported. They changed the way we think about space warfare. Their ships can hide from any sensor. Their weapons ignore our best shields. Their tactics break all our rules of combat. And we never saw it coming. In the final assault on the station, humanity had demonstrated something else. Mercy. They captured rather than killed. They helped the station's innocent civilians evacuate. They even treated injured pirates in their medical bays. Admiral Stone sent one last message to the Coalition Council. We tried asking nicely. When that failed, we showed you our strength. Now you have a choice. Stand with us as equals, or stand aside. But never again mistake our patience for weakness. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity's warning was now clearly understood. Don't make us mad wasn't a threat. It was simply good advice. 6 months after the pirates' defeat, the Europa colony sparkled like a jewel beneath the ice of Jupiter's moon. Not only had it been rebuilt, but it was now bigger and stronger than before. Ships from a dozen alien species filled its docking bays, trading and learning from the humans who had impressed the galaxy. Captain Tom Wells, still in charge of the colony, stood at his favorite viewing window. Next to him, a coalition historian took notes as they talked. You see, Wells explained, we never wanted to show our strength this way. We would have preferred to share our technology peacefully, to help others. The pirates forced our hand. The historian nodded. Many species now study Earth's history. We found something interesting. Humans often give warnings before fighting. Why? Because we hate unnecessary violence, Wells said. When we say, don't make us mad, we're not threatening. We're trying to prevent conflict. In Washington, Ambassador Miller hosted a delegation of alien diplomats. The meeting room had changed. Now the aliens sat as equals with the humans, no trace of their former condescension. Your ships now patrol trade routes alongside coalition forces, one diplomat noted. Pirates have almost disappeared from known space, but you still haven't shared all your technology. Why? Miller smiled. Because power isn't just about having technology, it's about being ready for it. We learned that from our own history. We'll share when the time is right. Admiral Stone's fleet had a new mission now. Instead of hunting pirates, they helped protect peaceful species, respond to distress calls, and assist with natural disasters. The ships that had once brought fear now brought hope. On her bridge, Stone received a message from a coalition patrol. They'd found a newly discovered species, still learning to reach their own moon. The coalition commander wanted her advice on first contact. Be respectful, she told them. Never assume they're primitive just because their technology is different. You might be surprised what they're capable of. The High Speaker of the coalition called a special session. All member species attended, either in person or through holograms. The chamber was packed as he made a historic announcement. Based on recent events and new understanding, he declared, Earth is now classified as a senior member of the coalition, with full voting rights and privileges. In the applause that followed, many remembered how they had once dismissed humans as primitive. Now those same humans were teaching the coalition new ways of thinking about everything from technology to diplomacy. Director Reed's intelligence teams were busy too. They worked with coalition experts, helping them uncover corruption and prevent exploitation of developing species. The galaxy was becoming safer, fairer, and more cooperative. Humans have an interesting approach, one alien analyst told him. You're powerful enough to rule by force, but instead you choose to help and protect. That's because we remember being underestimated, Reed replied. We remember being dismissed as primitive. We don't want others to feel that way. General Torres hosted combat training sessions where human soldiers taught coalition forces. But they taught more than just fighting techniques. They taught about honor, restraint, and knowing when not to fight. The strongest warrior, she told her alien students, is the one who can choose peace without fear. In the rebuilt Mars colony, Bob Wilson's tomato plants were flowering again. Through the dome, he could see ships from Earth and the coalition working together to build new defensive stations. His grandchildren played with alien kids in the colony's park, all of them growing up in a safer galaxy. The coalition historian finished his report with a final note. The humans' warning was simple: don't make us mad. But we learned it wasn't about anger or revenge. It was about responsibility. Humans had power they didn't show, strength they didn't boast about, and wisdom they were willing to share. Their warning wasn't a threat, but a lesson. True strength lies not in displaying power, but in knowing when and how to use it. Ambassador Miller read the historian's report and added one last comment. We prefer to be friends. We choose to be peaceful, but we will always be ready to protect those who need help. That's the human way. And throughout the galaxy, species both old and new learned to understand the simple wisdom in humanity's warning. Don't make us mad wasn't just about anger. It was about hoping they would never need to show their strength again.